Good morning and welcome to our Genesis Client Services webinar. My name's Amber Neely and I'm joined with Charlotte Weatherford and Jordan Gates, and we're going to be walking through some parenting stuff today. Before we get started, I want to just go through some housekeeping stuff and some rules about our webinars. So just a reminder that this presentation is for educational purposes only. Also, I would like for you guys to make sure that you're considering your own situation and safety concerns prior to putting into practice any of the ideas that we're talking about today. So with regards to safety within watching this webinar, please be sure to watch this in a safe place where only safe people can hear it. Remember that you can clear your browser history after you're watching the video. If you're concerned that somebody may be monitoring your phone or computer, it's also helpful to use headphones to ensure that no one else can hear what you're watching. And if you're watching live on Zoom, and you need to leave, make sure that you click end meeting and then exit out of the Zoom page. With regards to confidentiality, we ask that you do not use the chat feature on Zoom. If you do so, your name and comment will be seen by anyone else watching this video, as well as if you're watching on our YouTube channel. We just ask that you don't use any of the commenting on that as well. With regards to crisis and support, so we know that some people are needing some extra support in addition to watching these webinars. So if you are in crisis or need help with emergency safety planning, or you're looking for an emergency shelter due to experiencing intimate partner violence, please call our 24-hour hotline at 214-946-4357. If you're not currently receiving counseling at Genesis and you would like some more information about our counseling program, you can call our office at 214-389-7700. If you have any questions after this webinar, please feel free to reach out to me or Charlotte or Jordan. Our contact information will be at the end of this webinar, and it's at the end of all of our webinars on our YouTube channel. So again, we don't monitor that YouTube channel or respond to any comments that are left there. So please reach out to us directly if you need any help. And again, here are just some hotlines. We know that when your family is going through domestic violence or any type of trauma, it can be really overwhelming. And so if you're having any suicidal thoughts or thoughts about harming yourself, or if you know somebody who's having thoughts like that, we have the National Suicide Hotline here. Again, our hotline is here, and then the National Domestic Violence Hotline. All of these are 24-hour hotlines. So we're going to get started. We've been going through Lundy Bancroft's book, When Dad Hurts Mom. And so this portion of his book is about helping your children heal from domestic violence. And so remember, just a review of what this book entails, right? So it helps us to understand the effects of domestic violence, helping your kids to heal emotionally, guiding mothers and providing with love, support, and positive role models, and increasing understanding of court systems and custody cases, and helping kids to feel good about their selves. So this is what the book looks like. It can be found on Amazon or at any bookstore, and it's pretty affordable. So just a review of the impact of domestic violence. So remember, domestic violence is the systematic diminishment of a woman in her home. This includes threats, verbal abuse, name calling, humiliation, and it creates an atmosphere where the mom is disrespected by the dad and her voice is silenced. She's bullied or potentially treated like a servant. This is really confusing to kids and brings them great distress. In addition, it can cause some tension in between the mother-child relationship or division amongst siblings. So we're going to look at healing through close relationships in this first slide. So we're looking about a close relationship with their mother, kindness and affection, power of love versus power of abuse and domination is really important. So remembering that your love is a sense of their own goodness, your encouragement and faith in them leads to self-confidence. So continuing to be their cheerleader in this way. Your assistance in working out fights So bullying is not the answer. People can listen to each other's needs and feelings, and work out great solutions that are for everyone. So teaching your children how to do this and modeling this behavior. Um, Helping them to learn and insisting that they treat you with respect as well as treating themselves with self-respect. So even if, the child is saying, "Oh, I'm so stupid. I didn't do a good job on my homework," like helping them, catching them saying those types of phrases and teaching them, we don't call ourselves names. We don't call others names. What's another way that you can express your frustration without calling yourself a name? Also like being there to listen and respond to any troubles that they're having, any grievances, and accepting responsibility for your actions. It's okay as a parent to make mistakes. And really telling your child and owning up to that is really healing for them. And so helping them to see that, mom is human, and if she makes a mistake, she's going to talk about it and apologize. And again, like just a corrective emotional and relational experience and creating a safe haven, um, like playing with them, spending special time with them, reading bedtime stories in the evening, having special memories that you're creating with your children. It's really going to help reestablish your attachment with them. We know that when there's domestic violence happening, that is really disrupted and that's not your fault. And so just looking for different ways to remind your child that they're safe with you and to create that safe space for them. So I'm going to turn this over to Charlotte and she's going to talk about healing and safety.
Hi, everyone. So yes, continuing on with helping your child heal by establishing safety. So that would be both physical safety, but also emotional safety by creating an environment where they're able to express their emotions and their thoughts and feelings in a way where they're not being criticized or judged for those feelings. Um, Keeping in mind that a child will have trouble healing if they are continuously exposed to new acts of abuse. So just really help for yourself from recreating abuse and really trying to create an environment that's abuse free if that's possible right now for you. Refrain from hitting or threatening. So abuse and domination is not limit setting or discipline. There's a difference between having limits that your child understands and then imposing the consequences that they also know will follow from those choices between being abusive and dominating your child. So really trying to find that balance. Take a break before if you start feeling yourself getting really angry and if you start to feel yourself triggered or that you are almost to a point of rage, really take a break. If you just need to say, mommy needs a few minutes and go take a few deep breaths to calm yourself before disciplining. Always get help if you're finding yourself becoming triggered often. If you're relying on substances or other ways of numbing out, you can always get professional help. Be cautious about dating new partners and being thoughtful about when to introduce your children to new partners. Um, and making sure that you're taking care of yourself. Self-care as a parent is going to be so important, always, and especially when you're healing from domestic violence. So finding those opportunities throughout the day and throughout the week to take care of yourself. So also healing with the support of siblings. Um, this is a great opportunity for your children to have relationships with their siblings and to really experience what it's like to have those positive connections. Siblings can be a great source of support both in childhood and throughout the rest of their life. Research really shows that children that have a close relationship and spend a lot of time together in childhood tend to continue to be a source of support throughout their life. Really creating an environment where you insist on respect, on family rules, being respectful to each other, and modeling ways to be loving and supportive. How can you support each other, love each other, and encourage each other? Sibling relationships are also a great context to develop your child's conflict resolution skills. We all know that siblings are going to get in little arguments and fights, and so this is a way for them to really practice what it's like to apologize, to repair, to make things right again, and work out their conflicts. It's also important to not require that they feel close to each other. Sometimes domestic violence can cause some disruption in the sibling system, so allowing expression of anger if they are frustrated with a sibling, it's okay for them to be angry towards a sibling as long as they're expressing their emotions in a respectful way that's nonviolent, and not involving any put downs, and just giving them room to have bad feelings and help them talk about disputes. This is going to be helpful with the conflict resolution and for helping them to just express their feelings. So also helping them heal through connection to their self and to others. So to connection to others can involve healthy relatives, family, friends, neighbors, loved ones. This can be through spending actual quality time with each other. If your loved ones live further away, you can have photo albums and show your children pictures of loved ones, call them on the phone, FaceTime. Young children love mail, so maybe just sending letters in the mail to loved ones, telling them stories about things that you did with people. And giving them opportunities to play with other children, ideally boys and girls, so that they get practice and have relationships with both boys and girls. And to have connection with themselves. So really valuing your children's interests, hobbies, and fantasies, encouraging those interests, supporting them in that, asking them questions about the things that they're interested in, really trying to stay away from labels and appreciate different parts of personality. So not labeling your children, but focusing on specific behaviors and specific things that you like about their personality. So that might be not that you're such a great artist, but I love how creative you are. Um, so not making it about the label as a person. Treating them with respect and encouraging them to treat themselves with respect, kind of like Amber was saying, being mindful of what they say to themselves, how are they speaking to themselves, standing up for, caring for, and speaking positively about themselves, if that means advocating for themselves and speaking up, to not deny their own frustrations or weaknesses. We all have weaknesses, so it's okay to acknowledge that and support them in that. Validate their feelings instead of correcting them. There's no right or wrong feeling, so just validating whatever it is that they're experiencing. Don't hide, don't You don't need to hide or deny aspects that they don't like or are struggling with. You can always encourage physical activities. That's a great connection to self. It's also a great coping skill. So that's a great way for them to connect with their body and to self-regulate. Helping them to release stress, strengthens self-confidence, and elevates mood, and their connection to their bodies is further grounding to the strong sense of self. So other reasons why movement can be so helpful. And then lastly, healing with connection to creation. So this is just going to be a connection to the larger world around us. This might be your faith community. This might be just treating other humans well with the love of your community, knowing that these are sources of hope and strength. This might be nature outing, spending time outside, taking a walk. This might be experiences of beauty such as art, music, and books, and just a connection to the wider world, to nature, and to beauty. Now I'm going to pass it on to Jordan, and she'll talk about continuing ways to help your child heal.
Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I'm going to finish off what Charlotte has been talking about and talk about the last few points on how to help your child through the healing process. And so it's really important through the healing process to give your child opportunities to talk about events and express feelings in a safe and healing way in a safe environment. It's important to understand, right? Just like adults, children cannot resolve complicated feelings. So, shame and grief, anger, sadness, and just 1 to 2 conversations, right? As they're processing through the feelings, it's important to allow opportunities for them to share their feelings and talk about them. Kids, right? They may ask repeated questions. Frequently to try to get answers or because they're still processing through those experiences and they're really confusing. You may notice your child, especially your younger children, right? Preschool age children, they may process and speak their through stories and fantasies. So, right, maybe they wonder if a monster will come and get them. Maybe this symbolizes fear that dad will return. It's important, right, that you don't have to overanalyze these stories and fantasies, but you just get to validate that, provide a safe place for them to share that, and provide that comfort and safety. Um, and kind of ask exploring questions to see if they're able to better understand what they're going through. Um, they may have mixed feelings of missing their dad, yet they'll be maybe fearful at the same time that he will return. And so this is really normal, right? They're confused. They saw good dad and bad dad, and so they have possibly contradictory feelings. So it's important to offer reassurance and validation, make that space for grief, and work hard to not talk negatively about the other spouse or make them choose, right? So make them choose between you or your partner. Allow children to express deeply bad feelings, right? And these may be pent up feelings. So providing that opportunity for them to release those feelings in creative ways. And then if your child is having extreme angry feelings, saying like, I hate my brother, or they're wanting to kill their dad, it's important to allow space for that and help them process through those like extreme emotions. So maybe saying, you must feel really angry to say that. Tell me what made you feel so angry. It's important to know that these intense feelings still can be expressed and processed, right? Sometimes when we hear a child say those things, our immediate reaction is to get angry. And so it's important to not think that, right, those thoughts are part of them, that they're just angry and trying to find words to express that anger. It's also really important to remember that feelings are just something we express, right? It's not who we are, it's not all of us. And so it's really important when a child is having those intense feelings to help them understand, you're really angry right now. Let's release that anger. Do you want to go outside and run around? Do we need to take some deep breaths? Do you want to draw a picture about your anger? But helping them understand that they're not, that anger doesn't own them and there are a lot of different things. Um, and still talking about feelings, right? It's important, as I was saying, to allow opportunities for them to release those feelings. That's called catharsis. That's a natural emotional healing process in children. And so through children, you may see this come out through throwing tantrum or having fits. And I know this can be really difficult to deal with. And when they're having these extreme tantrums, it's normal as the parent to get really frustrated or angry. And these are some different ways to be able to handle these intense tantrums your child may be having. So always offer love and attention. Name what they appear to be feeling. So you look really angry right now. If they appear to be out of control, right, keep that child away from objects or hazards that could hurt them. Do not allow for breaking or throwing things or hurting anyone. And I know this can be really difficult, right? Because if they're a little kid and they're in that extreme tantrum and they're hitting you or throwing things off the wall, trying to redirect them, right? Giving them a pillow to punch, a soccer ball to kick, even giving them paper to rip, but providing them with that safe place that they can, if they're lashing out, can lash out in a safe way. Allow for the tantrum to go on with your caring attention until it ends by themselves, right? So they're in that, right, when they are having a tantrum, they are extremely dysregulated. It's really hard to redirect them. It's really hard to talk up to them about what's happening, right? That's probably going to make them more angry. And so allow them to work through that tantrum. allow them to work through it. And then at the end, right, when you're able to provide that comfort and help them calm down, maybe through taking deep breaths or doing something calming or reading a book. Oftentimes, right, the child may start to cry, so loud sobbing with lots of tears. It's important to understand, right, that your child is feeling safe enough to express their distress and release these feelings of stress, fear, or other feelings. Important, right, that boys and girls need the opportunity to cry, allow for this safe place to cry without shame or ridicule, right? Maybe if siblings are around or other people are around, take them in a room where it's just the two of you, so they feel comforted. Um, Maybe you notice your child raging, stomping their feet, and making other angry movements. And so, anger is a natural and acceptable way when it does not cause verbal or physical violence. This is also important, right? Because maybe they saw their dad only express anger in violent ways. And so, making sure they know it's okay to be angry, it's okay to stomp your feet, but it's not okay to hit me. It's not okay to throw a book at me. So when those start to happen, those behaviors, you can set limits against aggressive behavior and destructiveness, and then redirect to positive releases if possible. Um, Allowing your children to know that they can be angry without calling names or hurting others. And if you feel like these behaviors are reaching a point where it's hard for you to help your child, or they're getting out of control or violent, it is important, if you feel comfortable, with seeking professional support. So, other ways that you may see your child release these feelings is through screaming or trembling from fear, right? So when they're exhibiting feelings of fear, it's really important for you to show them that you're in control, and even when you don't feel like it, right? But for you to appear completely solid and give that reassurance and physical closeness, right? I'm okay. I'm right here for you. I'll take care of it. Can you tell me more about why you're feeling so scared, right? Maybe you notice that your younger children expressing fear through storytelling and playing games. And so help them understand that you're there to keep them safe. That's your job as the parent. Um, Maybe your child, right, is expressing these intense emotions through laughing. So this could be hysterical laughing or extended laughing. This is a good way for children to release that tension and anxiety, and it can bring relaxation. Be careful to not make fun of your child, right? That's going to make them more upset and make them feel like then laughter is not a safe way for them to express those feelings. And then don't push your child into laughter when they're not ready for it. So maybe they're really sad, right? And instead of, right, you want to take them out of that pain. So you want to make them laugh when really they may need for you to just validate and say, it's okay to be sad. I'm here for you. And again, providing professional assistance if you feel like you're unable to control yourself, or help your child during these times. Some other important things too would be if your child is engaging in extreme thinking or bizarre illogical comments after the emotional release stopped, right? And so looking for these cues, or if they're continuing all day or every day or they're frequent, right, then seeking help from a therapist. Or if they're exhibiting feelings of depression, self-destructive behavior, self-harming behaviors, they're really withdrawn, they're not seeking help during these emotional releases. Another important aspect of the healing process, right, is allowing your child to have that good information about abuse. Sometimes we think as adults, we don't want to tell them because we don't want to make them upset or put them through pain. But they're already thinking about it and they're already confused about it. And so to give them, right, it's your job to be able to give them that good information or give them opportunity to talk to a safe adult who can give them that information. So it's always important to tell them it's not your fault what happened. It's not my fault. It's not your sibling's fault what happened. And also, as the mother, taking the blame off of you, right? So it's not my fault what happened either. So they may be blaming you, right? But you don't want to give them a reason to blame you. You want to say, this is not my fault. Those were dad's actions. Um, Helping them understand, depending on their age, that the goal of abuse is power and control, right? And definitely seeking help from a counselor if you want creative ideas on how to explain this to children. Definitely providing age-appropriate explanation of dynamics of abuse, right? And so if it's a 4-year-old, you're not gonna call it domestic violence, but you're gonna say, you know, "Daddy was not treating me right, daddy was doing some really scary things." If they witnessed some of it, right, you can say, "Remember that time you saw daddy yelling at me and I was scared and you were scared? That's not okay, and that wasn't my fault and that wasn't your fault." And then safety planning as much as possible, talking about about safe people, safe touch, that their body belongs to them, right? No one else is supposed to touch their body in inappropriate ways, teaching them how to call 911, giving them examples of safe people in their lives. And so that is it for today. Remind yourself that the abuse you've experienced in your family is not your fault. You and your children deserve to live a life free of abuse. And thank you for joining us. And then
Yes.
this is our contact information for Amber, Charlotte, and I. So feel free to email us, call us if you have any questions or thoughts about this presentation.
Thanks so much for joining us. And yeah, please reach out if there's anything we can do to support you guys. Thank you. Bye. Bye.